In the made rules, which is what we're playing today, there's 3 different positions. You're either a blocker, you're a jammer, or you're a pivot. Now, blockers, their sole job is to make sure that the opponent's jammer or their pivot doesn't score points, and you score points by passing a blocker. So if you were a jammer on the other team and I was a blocker, as soon as you go by me, you get a point. So my job is to make sure you don't get by me. And the only way that we can do that is we have a blocking zone, which is from our shoulders to our hips. This is all we can block with. Now, so that's the blocker's main duty. They also try to help their jammer get through. So the way that they do that is they try to anticipate the other team's block coming in and get in their way so the jammer can go in behind. So that's the basics of blocking. Jammer's job is to score as many points as possible. And like I said, that happens by going past as many of the opponents as you can. And you get 1 point per person that you pass. Now, at the very beginning of a jam, there's something called the first whistle. That first whistle starts the jam. Both of the jammers for each team start behind what's called a jam line. It's basically like a starting line.
Okay. And a jam is like a half or a quarter? What's the jam?
So a jam is a session that's being played. It lasts up to 2 minutes, and it's kind of like a mini game within the entire game. So at the beginning of the jam, first whistle goes, and then the jammer, what they have to try to do is have to try to get through all of the blockers. That takes a couple seconds, and that's when most of your heavy blocks are happening to try to prevent the other team from getting in the lead. Now, once the jammer gets into the lead, they become the lead jammer. Now, that carries a lot of weight when the actual game starts, or in the middle of the game, because that lead jammer can call off that jam before the 2 minutes is up. Now, that's where strategy comes into play, because if you can get out first and you score points, and then the next jammer is coming up right behind you, you can call it off so that jammer doesn't score any points. Where Made, which is the game that we're playing today, differentiates from other forms of roller derby is there's the third position, which is called the pivot. Now the pivot, their job is to watch to see what happens with the jammers. Now if the opponent's jammer gets through and they're technically the lead jammer, the pivot can then become the jammer for their team. So basically, the jammer and the pivot, they swap out. They swap responsibilities. And then the pivot becomes the jammer. And then their job is to try to catch the original jammer that broke out from the opposing team.
At the end of the first quarter, it is 14 white, 24 black.
Normally, you'll see very quick jams. Maybe, even though it has the potential to last 2 minutes, you will see maybe minute and a half jams, just because they're trying to protect points.
How many jams per session?
Oh, there can be so many. There's an unlimited amount of jams. However, each period lasts 15 minutes. So at the end of 15 minutes, we go to a break, and then we start it all up again. And at the very end of the game, we tally up all those points, and the team with the most points wins.